moving past synchronicity, which is almost cliche at this moment. When it first started happening to me, probably around 10 years ago, it was something I couldn't quite rationalize. I think as we all have become that sort of monkey peeling the banana, now we all peel the bananas all around the earth, just the shared groupthink style of it. Synchronicity is almost commonplace. There are those who wish to dive deeper and those who are still with the basic programming. Now, something's been happening, and I'm sure I've been calling it in and asking for it because I am looking to make or have made a transition. But, oh my God. Damn. Alright, maybe I'll edit that one little piece out. It's like, don't say that, bitch. Alright, so, something happened yesterday that made synchronicity I don't know what the term is, but something happened yesterday which disillusioned my world. Now, I've had this feeling before when I started to get an abundance of synchronicities. And at first I was like, oh, what are they trying to communicate to me? And then you dive deeper into the holographic universe, and this is all a code and a program. I jumped into Mandela Effect, and a kid that I've been watching his videos for years, or I've been watching, I watched his videos years ago, and I happened upon him again on YouTube, and I've seen his shift and transition, and he had a story about how he was driving and there was a gap in time that he lost, or he was about to get into an accident, and then the accident didn't occur. And he did a reading with Bashar, and Bashar said that he died and jumped into a different timeline. The paradoxical sort of thing is that he's still within my timeline. And here's the real synchronicity of it. Whenever I'm going through a thing, the videos that pop up on my timeline reflect the thing. The numbers send codes. People give me their name, and it's a name that's familiar. It's tied into numbers like my birthday, and like, these are just strangers on the street. Hi, my name is da-da-da, and I'm born da-da-da. You know, it's like, oh, okay. That was 3 syncs in 1. So that's been happening. But something different has happened to my paradigm shift of thought process. To the point where I'm like, what the fuck is this thing that we're in? Okay, let's say that we are in the Matrix. Let's say that we are living inside of bubbles in an adjacent system, and our conscious is uploaded to this sort of thing. And the codes are popping out because we're awakening to the fact that we are operating from a different space that we can't quite touch. Okay. Time doesn't exist. It's not linear as we think. That will explain my style of deja vu. That will explain how the things that we're manifesting pop up seemingly before we manifested them. I'm happy, but I'm also mad. Frustrated? Yeah, maybe it's frustration that I can't quite see exactly what's going on. The 3D self looking down at the 2D flat sheet of paper, even though the piece of paper isn't flat, but we know where we're going with that. We can't see to the fourth dimension. We can only see the fourth dimensional shadow, which I suppose would be the shit that we can't see that's happening to us being the fish inside the fish bowl. Nevertheless, they keep on tapping on my fishbowl. So, I was going to make a whole video about it, but I'll just dab it in here a little bit. I would wake up, and it happens every so often, where I wake up with a grid pattern on my back. 4D tapping on my 3D. I've listened to different people speak on this so briefly that there is no information about it. And I did have a dream that, again, briefly spoke about it. Nutshell, extraterrestrial based. Now, I've had some experiences with spirit, different entities popping into my space. Only one time presenting as an extraterrestrial. But what the fuck does it mean? That's the part. Anybody can say anything about anything. I can say my beliefs about this, my beliefs about that. I get definite communication, but the vagary of the communication is sometimes daunting. I think I'm in the daunting place. Maybe that's what I'll name this shit. The daunting place. Because you'll get a sign. You can get a sign. You can be in a neutral space of thought and get a synchronicity and say, okay, well, what does it mean? Kanye has a verse. He said something to the effect where he gets a sign. He sold my soul for a happy meal. That song. And he said, I parallel double park that motherfucker sideways because you don't know what to do with the information. I don't know. I'll say that. Looking into the Mandela a little bit heavier last night. Okay, so there was this one kid, I don't know if the account still exists, it was on TikTok, and it seemed like he was like in Europe, and there was nobody around. Something that somebody extremely wealthy would have to do. Like, even when they make a film in New York, like, it takes a large amount of money for Will Smith to clear out a block and then add his own extras back onto the block so that they can sign the waivers to, whatever. Takes a lot of bread. Random TikToker, and he was alone. Everywhere he went, in highly public areas, there was no one around. Okay. Parallel, right? How does he even get the communication back onto this reality? Oh. Then there's this other guy who has his old phone, and, I could see that he's not, taking the time to animate a transition, and the transitions were so basic, but he would take his current phone, place it onto the camera of his old phone, like a BlackBerry, old scuffed up BlackBerry or some shit, and he would run it over like the Bernstein Bears, whatever, Pokemon's tail, and then he started going a little deeper, and it had me in a way, only because my previous message was about time travel. And previous to that, fucking A, it's all coming together. It's all right here. Okay. Let's dial it back to Damon Brand. Fuck. I love how they work. It's like, it's an Easter egg hunt, and when you find the egg, it's like, poof, gotcha, like drops mic. So, there's this, alright, so back to Damon Brand, archangels, right? There's many layers. You can evoke, it's the evoke, right? Where you are asking for the help. You're basically doing like a prayer and asking for the help of these archangels, whatever their expertise is, and you sit with them for a minute. Now, later on in the book, there's the invoke. Invoke is to embody some of the attributes of, or embody the attributes of the angel, right? And I don't want to say for years I have been studying, but I've always been fascinated with Metatron. Metatron is formerly Enoch, is the latest appointed angel that I know, scripturally, that has transitioned from, who's Enoch? Noah's father, grandfather. And he was passed into being one of God's right hands, and in particular matters of extreme importance. And Enoch is, one of his things is time travel. And when I was thinking about any of the angels that I would want to invoke, to have the inner knowing, to have a part of me to be within me so that I can make decisions through the best eyes, it was Metatron. I've been fascinated, which I can say I've been fascinated with quantum, and even further when I was in high school, physics. And then when I got into digging into quantum physics, I really liked that. And when we go into manifesting and quantum entanglement, I can put like science to the spirit, and a sort of, I was going to say Thorian or, Odian, I don't know, whoever was the master of Asgard, their science is, religion and science together, or whatever they said in that movie, but it's together. Magic and science. So, I went to school for science. I am a scientist. I don't necessarily believe in alchemy, but, in the physical tense. But I don't disbelieve it, and I more think about the alchemy of the quanta. From an objective outside looking in, not necessarily thinking about what their tests are doing. I look at CERN. They are doing both works, whether they know it or not. So, I laugh because I'm sort of told that I have to meditate and I'll get the answers, but this is my form of meditation. This is how I get it out. And in the book, Damon Brand says, once you start to even think about what it would be like, you've already started the first part of invocation. So, I guess I say all this to say that I am Metatron. Oh, God. I've been shown some things beyond synchronicity, or if not beyond synchronicity, the next level of it. Initially, thinking about making this recording, I look at Carl Jung or Carl Jung and Dolores and even Bashar and what's the other one? I can't think of her name, but their teachings and what I'm speaking about will be obsolete at some point. But right now, it's different. Right now, it's new. Right now, it's a different perspective than the ones I hear about. You know, when I first started learning about Jung or listening to what his deal was, he was talking to a client, and the client had a synchronicity, and the synchronicity popped up in the physical, and he was like, voila. The voila is constant to the point where we can see it. Our eyes are opened. I think it's in The Secret, in one of their initial scenes, where there are some native, primitive, sort of tribal people looking out onto the ocean, or one of the people was staring out into the ocean, sensing something, but not able to identify. But his pineal gland was able to make a shift where he could then identify that a ship was sailing towards him. And then he was able to show the others that as well. That's sort of what we have going on around us. The things we can't quite identify, therefore we can't grasp on to the frequency. And as our frequency rises, this will become obsolete. But Metatron's in the house. Adios.